Hello and welcome to Prudent Media. My name is Sachin Chatte and on this program we take a look at the latest movies. This week we will review the Hollywood film The Flash and Om Raut's much awaited Adipurush. First, let's take a look at Adipurush. There is no doubt that director Om Raut's take on the Ramayana is an ambitious project. It doesn't cover the whole of Valmiki's epic but focuses on the part of it which is the most well-known one. Mounted on a reported budget of 500 crores, the effects in the film look derivative right from Lord of the Rings to subsequent ones. But for a change, they don't look tacky and almost as good as we've seen in big budget Hollywood films. Almost being the operative word there. The last couple of generations have seen Ramayana as a television serial. There have been no direct cinematic adaptations even though there have been films inspired by it. Om Raut sticks to the core of the story, but the visuals have a twist. Ravan's Lanka looks like it is some dark outer space world and is guarded by the leftover creatures from Lord of the Rings. With his big beard, Ravan himself looks like he's in need of a trimmer or even better, a clean shave. It would need 10 barbers though, but that's a different story. The central characters Raghav, played by Prabhas, and Janki, played by Kriti Sanon, are as we always envisage them. The film opens where Lord Ram and Sita, referred to as Raghav and Janki respectively, are already in exile in the forest. It's a nice colourful place with peacocks, pink flamingos and other birds around. There are also fishes around and on seeing the fish jump, Janki gets as excited as a tourist who spots a dolphin during a cruise down the river Mandovi. There is even a song as they profess their love for each other. We know what is going to follow. The Shurpanaka episode, the Shabri incident and finally Ravan kidnapping Sita after he disguises himself as a sadhu and she crosses the Lakshman Rekha to give him arms. Unlike the chalk powder or the one drawn with a stick, this Lakshman Rekha is rather fancy, like those laser ones we've seen in Mission Impossible kind of movies. You can tell that the filmmaker has made an effort to see what improvisations can be done while sticking to the basic of the story. What doesn't work is the slow motion. Just about every character gets to walk in slow motion. Raghav, Janki and Ravan spend more than half of their time in slow motion. Director Om Raut clearly has a thing for slow motion. In his debut Marathi film Lokmanya Ek Yug Purush, which was released in 2015, he had the character of Lokmanya Tilak running in slow motion in the rain. Here we see the character of Lord Ram jumping over, under, from and off a tree, all in slow motion. There are several other shots as well, but there are way too many to describe. If one song is not enough, there is another one that pops up but mercifully it doesn't last long. When Sugriv shows the pearl to Hanuman from Janki's necklace, which he leaves behind as a clue, there is a song that starts out of the blue. Perhaps the idea was to show what an ideal couple they are, but that doesn't work, not in the film and definitely not in the song. Where Adipurush works is with the arresting visuals, and even though it is loud at times, the sound also creates an impact. Rarely do we see a visual razzmatazz of this scale succeed in Hindi cinema. To be accurate, the film was also shot in Telugu simultaneously. Thanks to the visuals, it keeps you interested, but the final battle, mostly involving animated characters, stretches for too long, pointlessly, just like a Marvel movie. The story from Janki's kidnapping by Ravan to the rescue in Lanka has so much drama, adventure, action and emotion that it has stood the test of time and will continue to do so. So as a film, it is mostly a matter of steering the designated course. In Adipurush, some of it works and some of it doesn't. The characterization, for instance, Raghav works only because he is supposed to be Maryada Purushottam Ram, not so much because the screenplay elevates him. Bajrang, played by Devdutt Nage, has a far better fleshed out character. Jamwan, who also helps Bajrang realize his potential, looks like one of the bears who has wandered off from the Goldilocks sets. Prabhas opts to play a rather deadpan Raghav. He hardly has any expression on his face through the film. Saif Ali Khan, on the other hand, tries to do something in every scene. The occasional restraint would have helped. All said and seen, Adipurush is not a role model film, but it is not a washout either. I'm going to go with 2 out of 5 stars for Adipurush. And now let's take a look at the new superhero film, The Flash. DC's latest offering, The Flash, hinges around a mother who has forgotten to buy crushed tomatoes. Timelines are altered, people zip into the past, and they meet a version of themselves and versions of other people as well, all because of crushed tomatoes. To compensate for a tomato slice thin storyline, there are more cameos than you can count on one hand. Now here's a spoiler alert. There are more Batmans, Supermans than you have ever seen before in one movie, but that doesn't save the film. Hopefully, it will serve as a lesson to Warner and DC that such gimmicks cannot help a film stay afloat. The release of the film was delayed because Ezra Miller, the real-life superhero, was facing a barrage of charges including burglary, disorderly conduct, and a second-degree assault. The Flash was already ready and too much money was at stake for the studios to pull it off. Now in the film, Ezra plays Barry Allen and he can move faster than lightning when he is wearing his super tight suit which fits in a ring on his finger. In one of the standard superhero scenes, he has to save innocent people. In this case, baby is falling out of a hospital which is on the top floor of a building. Once he is done with saving the babies and the nurse, he has to do something about his dad Henry, who is in prison for murdering his mother. Henry was sent to the supermarket by his wife to buy the earlier mentioned crushed tomatoes when he returns home to find his wife in a pool of blood, and then he is arrested for killing her. Barry then has this bright idea. What if he can move so fast and travel back in time and get those tomatoes so that his dad doesn't have to go to the supermarket and then his mom won't die and hence his father won't get arrested? It sounds like an interesting premise on paper, but cinematically it is just another superhero film. Like Bob Wilson meeting a version of himself in that classic Robert Heinlein science fiction story called By His Bootstraps, Barry meets a version of himself and then the two have to deal with their personal and professional matters on hand. They also rescue Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle, who is being hunted down by General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, of Krypton fame, and that ensues a fight to the finish. One doesn't have to look at the screenplay with a fine-tooth comb to spot how lame it is. Ever wondered how all these super powerful villains and heroes with all sorts of gadgets get into trouble by something very, very basic? Like Batman, played by Michael Keaton, having a very fancy plane whose eject button doesn't work. It's as convincing as a mathematics professor who has mastered calculus but struggles with the basic of multiplication tables. For now, I wish to be in a multiverse that is free of all these multiverse movies. I'm going to go with 2.5 out of 5 stars for DC's new film, The Flash. Well, that's what I thought of The Flash and Adipurush, which were released this week. Do let us know what you think. Do write into us. Our address is features@prudentmedia.in. And I'll be back with you next week with more movie reviews. Till then, it's goodbye from me.